Welcome to CivilNet, Backstage at the Aurora Dialogues. My guest here right now is Eric Nazarian, who's a filmmaker and a storyteller and a fellow at the USC Institute of Armenian Studies. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Susie.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Eric, you're a filmmaker, a storyteller. How do you communicate trauma, disaster, crisis in this day and age to be able to galvanize the world, which is today's theme at the Aurora Dialogues?
Wow, that's a massive spaceship of a question. I'll do my best. I mean, I think any act of storytelling, if it's any good, has an element of conscience and sincerity to it. And ultimately, if it's meant to travel across the world, then it has a universal theme, which is a human theme. So I think what's happening here is unprecedented in this region, really, to bring these many amazing human beings, change makers, who are on the ground granularly making change. It's incredibly inspiring. I think as a storyteller, working now on Chris Bojalian's magnificent novel, The Sandcastle Girls, making it into a film, putting together the pieces of the story, since I'll be shooting in the Middle East and since I've spent enough time in the Middle East, it's just really haunting to see the parallels between what Aurora Mardiganian went through 100 years ago and now what the Yazidis and the Syrian refugees are going through, all the people that have been killed, all the people that are rushing to their aid, trying to create home. So I think storytelling is fundamental in that it gives a human voice to the statistic. And this is very important, to never think of just people in millions, but to think of people as children, as mothers, as sisters, as brothers, as uncles, people with dialysis, people with lymphoma. These are regular people who are refugees. So I think the biggest sin that I've seen happen since the Syrian war is that there's been this incredible animosity toward refugees trying to cross to Europe. And that's something that honest to God, I can't wrap my head around. So as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, if there's any chance I get to make movies in this region or in Europe, I'm going to try my best to employ refugees in some capacity, whether it's a paid internship or it's, a production assistant on the film, but anything, because this is the biggest crisis we're facing humanity right now.
As a filmmaker, you're an individual. What we see in the Aurora Humanitarian Index a few days ago when it came out is that individual efforts are rated as the lowest in impacting, or people think that they're the least useful in impacting large-scale humanitarian crises. They give more weight to international institutions, governments. What is the role of individuals, and how do you think they make an impact? Do you agree with that? You probably don't.
I think the role of an individual is to be able to be heard, that every individual has a voice, and every individual has a conscience, and every individual has imagination, and every capable individual capable of making change can do so in granular ways. We can't think of the ocean just as one body of water. There are billions and quadrillions of drops. And what is humanity but composed of individuals? I think we've forgotten the power of individuality in our times. We forget that no two human beings will ever be the same. And that doesn't mean that I'm better than you or you're better than me. It means that we have a duty with this short amount of time we have on this earth to create some impetus for good. I mean, that's the end game. I think institutions and governments, unfortunately, have become very lazy in recent years. And one of the ladies speaking today, said something to the effect that, governments don't make innovation unless they're pushed into it. So you have to keep pushing, and you have to keep being critical. I think the problem nowadays is, governments are not taking a concerted effort to listening and hearing people out on the street who are in the trenches fighting the good fight. Everything is done from high towers. I want to see statesmen who have the guts and the balls to go into the trenches and be able to walk the walk and see the reality, as that old saying, come and see, instead of sit in a high castle and create policy that may or may not affect. But if there's a child dying of kidney failure, that their high tower means nothing to me.
And what gives you hope?
People who have a conscience, like these people who have been nominated for the Aurora Prize. I mean, I've choked up like 20 times in the past 2 days because of seeing the unprecedented odds they face. The ladies from Somalia, Miss Jamila from Afghanistan, Tom Katena in the Nuba Mountains. I mean, Marguerite Barankitz in what she's done with Burundi. I mean, these people are facing odds that you will never be able to imagine. So the more and more I see and hear their stories, the less I ever want to complain about anything.
Thank you.